The Tangent Egg podcast is aimed at a mature audience. It contains themes that are not appropriate for all listeners. It's important to note that we are not experts. We routinely have no idea what we're talking about and are just three idiots sitting around a table. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Tangent Egg Podcast. I'm Seth, and with me is Swoosh. We don't have Dan today, but we have been able to get back the wonderful Oliver Brackenbury to talk to us again.
I'm wonderful. Hello.
There's a minor section of, he called me dear.
Look, you're an infectiously wonderful person to talk to, so I consider it quite valid.
Yeah.
No. I just like saying that because it makes me sound like the only child desperately seeking validation that I am. So yeah.
Aren't we all? It's half the fun.
So we have Oliver back again because he is getting ready to get started with issues 3 and 4 of the New Edge Sword and Sorcery magazine that he's been working on, and he's here to talk to us about issues 1 and 2's production, tribulations for 3 and 4, and what might be coming down the pipe.
Thanks for having me back, guys. I feel like the magazine's been growing up sort of on this show, right? Because you were kind enough to have me in the fall of 2022 when I was like just about to get issue 0 out, and I was like, how do you even make a magazine? I don't know, let's see what happens. And then you were kind enough to help me boost issues 1 and 2 as we went into the crowdfund last year, where I was so terrified. I had no idea if we were going to succeed. I'd worked very hard for it, and my collaborators had worked very hard with me, and let's be clear, it's not just me. But I was so terrified that we might not succeed. I didn't ask any of the writers to do any of the writing. I just was like, don't do anything. I would be so sad if you wrote all these stories and then we didn't fund, and I just had to tell you to fuck off. So now, here we are, another year's gone by, and it's really just feels like the right thing to do is to come in and check in with you and be like, oh, well, and this is where we are now.
Somehow we're still going, and it's good to see the magazine is still thriving. From what I can see, it's doing very well.
Yeah, no, I think knock on wood and all that stuff. We continue to arc upward. It continues to feel like the right thing to be doing. I'm increasingly finding that I love being a publisher, and it's something that I'm suited for, and that it feels like, this is right. This is what I should be doing. And it makes use of all kinds of skills I've gathered from elsewhere along the way, which is validating. It's nice when that thing you spent, one summer learning comes in handy later, kind of thing. I'm really enjoying myself, and I'm daring to make grander long-term plans that we'll get into later. But I'm just very happy to see. We talked about this a little before we started recording, that you got your copies of the magazine just fine, even all the way down in Australia.
I mean,
it was a fight. Let's be honest. The postal system here is a bit itchy. Like it's not fun.
I would have said, like, maybe if you're going to send stuff international, maybe next time think about maybe some slightly better packaging, because I don't know how you ship.
Yeah, actually, that is a note we have received.
Mine came just in a cardboard folder with like no backing in it or anything. So
I find
post is pretty mean on stuff here.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Because we ship from Chicago. I'm in Canada, but because the vast majority of our customers are in the States, it makes sense. I've got someone there, Sarah in Chicago, who has our stuff, and those cardboard fellows work basically fine in the States and basically fine in Canada. But as soon as you get outside of North America, it can get tricky. And so, it wasn't too bad, but we have had a few damages, which, I mean, you expect with the sheer volume of things you're sending out. And we've made sure to do right by those people. But we absolutely are going to sort of be upgrading our packaging for when we ship outside of the country, particularly for hardcovers. It's funny, I found the hardcovers are like the most precious, wonderful thing to me because I love the book as an object. I'm not saying we put less effort in the digital or soft cover, but I mean, the hardcover is just the Cadillac, right? But the hardcover is actually, and this is why, like I say, don't worry, folks, we're upgrading our packaging specifically for this. They are easier to damage because they are not flexible.
That is true.
So as a result, I've had replaced a couple of hardcovers, and I'm happy to do it because I want people to get like the good stuff. Because just some guy in the mailroom who wanted a football can really
someone having a bad day working for the postal service. You know what? Fuck this one package in particular.
It doesn't really help
Yeah.
because Ozpost in Australia has been switching over to an automated system, and they just dump packages on conveyor belts. They don't even use people to do it anymore. They just have big machines with cages to just upend them onto conveyor belts. So shit gets damaged all the time.
Yeah, I mean, as is so often the case, right? The villain under the bed is capitalism, and so as things get more mechanized and cheapened,
pretty much.
Always fun.
Oh,
but on that, like, so, issues 1 and 2, like, you would consider the rousing success essentially. Like, you've done pretty well. You made all the money. The stretch goals were hit. How much
I think we did pretty damn well considering that the magazine hadn't even existed as an idea a little over 6 months before we did the crowdfund. You know, by the end of it, we'd raised 114% of our goal, which meant that obviously we were making the thing, but also we got a stretch goal that to me, like, there was the minimum funding, and then there was like my personal minimum, and that was my personal minimum. I wanted to get the first stretch goal, which was double art, because I bloody love the art side of things as much as the words. And I love doing the creative direction for that, working with the artists. I love what I like to do with them, actually, is I really want them to feel passionate about what they're doing. I mean, okay, I'm a guy commissioning them, paying them to do a job, but that doesn't mean that you can't make it fun and make them want to really get the most out of the experience on top of the wages. So what I did is I gave all the artists the option. I said, look, you know, I don't know how busy you are. If you want me to just tell you, please draw this thing, then I will do that.
Yeah.
But I will give you the option of reading the story, and then before I say anything, you come back to me and go, okay, well, I really want to do this scene, and this part sounds really good, you know. Again, just give me some options. And I'll tell you, I mean, virtually every single time that happens, I like what the artist suggests. It's sometimes more dynamic, interesting than what I had in mind. Maybe we do one of their ideas and one of my ideas, but whatever, it all works out in the end to them getting to like do the thing they're excited about. And I think that improves what you, the reader, get. The artist is actually like, draw this thing, you know, that you'll get something more exciting and more effortful. And if they're like, well, he told me to draw the thing, okay, I'll draw it.
Having studied animation and done that kind of stuff before, it's when you're passionate about a project, it comes through a lot better. If you're being told just make the thing, you get something more or less lifeless in some cases. It's like, this is a painting.
Yeah, it might be like technically well executed, but
it'll be very good, but it just lacks that little bit of soul, essentially.
Exactly. So I felt very good about doing that, and we got the issues out a little later than I had hoped, but it was we were learning. I mean, I did a whole Patreon, free to read, but I did a post on my Patreon all about how I learned about the proofing process with the magazine. That was a lot more effort and work entailed than when you do like an Amazon POD or whatever, right? Like, you know, when I put out my first couple of novels myself, you know, I would write the thing, I would go over it a bunch of times, but then as far as actual physical proofs, I would just order one proofing copy, go through it with my pen, fix it up as best I could, and then the very next draft would be the one that goes out to people. And so in my mind, that was just so ingrained, I didn't question it. I was like, oh, the magazine, sure, they'll give us one and we'll check it. And then no, there's like 4 or 5, depending on how you want to look at it, levels of proofing. So, and looking, you know, not just at the words are there typos or whatever, but looking very precisely at like how everything's measured and how it's going to come out on the page and that kind of thing. And I won't get into all that here, but yeah, like that was an interesting learning process, but also meant it took longer than I realized. So, you know, my original goal had been to get the thing out in the fall, and we just squeaked it at the end of November. But I mean, as you were gracefully reminding me before this began, at the end of the day, it was about 10 months from the end of Kickstarter to people getting their books, or starting to get their books. And there are board games people are waiting for like 5 years after the crowdfund.
Absolutely. There are certain things I'm
inside 10 months, actually pretty damn good.
Yeah, for a Kickstarter.
I actually had one. I had one backer say, "Holy crap! I didn't think I would say this, but I'm getting one of the things I crowdfunded this year." To
be honest, getting it the same year is a rare thing. I backed a thing called The Book, which was a massive compendium of information in case the world ends. Because my old man's a prepper and he would have loved it. And it's one of those things where it's like, that took almost 3 years to get to me, I think. And eventually turned up. I forgot I ordered this. This is amazing.
Well, yeah, it's like a fun surprise, right? Yeah. And honestly, no shade on anybody for whom it takes that long, because, you know, making really good things takes time. And
yes.
who knows what went on in their lives? Maybe because that's the thing too, right? These are being produced by usually one person or a very small group of people, not like a massive company that can fall back on other stuff. So if like sometimes you're like, "Where's my thing?" and it's like, "Oh, they broke their leg," or whatever. They need a minute.
Like we've said it a few times on the podcast before, we're happy to wait for a good product. Like I'm happy to wait, a few months to a year and that kind of stuff, just to make sure the product is good. I'm getting my money's worth, essentially. So always.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think that's a big thing where, like, and something else we're learning is which I'll maybe get into later, but it's in detail. But it's like the expectations of people who crowdfund are very different from the expectations of people who are buying direct from the website or find you in a store, because the level of investment is different, right? With Kickstarter people or BackerKit, which I really need to remember to stress, we are actually shifting to BackerKit as our platform for crowdfunding, and along with a lot of very good company. I'm noticing a lot. Like Brandon Sanderson's moved over there. Goodman Games, a role-playing game company.
Yeah.
Really like.
I mean, most Kickstarters you complete then transfer to BackerKit anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that's
now
exactly
they're doing the front
right?
end as well, which is great.
Yeah, one of the joys of BackerKit for me as a guy switching to running his crowdfunds on there is exactly that. Yeah, most people listening, if you're thinking, another platform, well, there's two things about BackerKit that I can quickly rattle off. There's a million things that made me switch over, and one of them is the fact that if you have ever backed anything on Kickstarter, where the fulfillment was handled, and you pay it by BackerKit and you paid your shipping later, and on the other things BackerKit lets you do. You already have an account with them. You're good. Like, not that it's hard to make one. It's very quick and easy, but you probably already have one if you've backed a bunch of stuff on Kickstarter. So, whatever, man. And the other thing is that BackerKit, unlike the other new platforms that sprung up in the last year and a half or so since Kickstarter dabbled in crypto and drove a lot of people away, blockchain, pardon me, not crypto, is the fact that BackerKit's not brand new. Their platform is relatively new, but they've been around for a little over 10 years doing the back-end fulfillment on Kickstarter, and they have been learning and paying attention and keeping a lot of the data that has allowed them to come into the full service thing very intelligently. And I'll just say it's a lot of under the hood stuff that really benefits people running projects like myself, which we could easily fill 2 hours talking about, just like crowdfunding specifically. So I'll leave that on the floor. But also, I think it really benefits people who are potential backers because the way the website works and how you just visually how it's laid out. I just like looking at campaigns on there more. I find it very easy to browse and move around them. So we're moving to BackerKit. That's the big experiment. I think it'll be a success. He said with a slight question mark in the end, not for doubts of BackerKit, but just for slight anxiety of my own because I'm so invested in this thing succeeding.
Yeah, it's not fair.
But I'm very excited to see how it goes on there, especially because, again, without getting into all the nitty gritty, I like running a crowdfunding campaign. I think it's fun, and I like turning it into like kind of a fun experience. Last time we had a live stream every Saturday for the first 3 weeks, and then on the last week we had a telethon live stream on the Friday night, the last evening of the thing. And we chatted. We did a shot every time we hit a new level of funding or whatever. And I had a early 1980s Dungeons and Dragons romance choose your own adventure. They did this. They had a line of about 6 or 7, I think. And it sounds really goofy, and from a certain angle it is, because they were like, well, we got to get girls playing Dungeons and Dragons, so romance. That's all they like, right? But on the flip side, I wouldn't want to denigrate it because it did seem to work apparently to some degree. There are definitely women I've known who were like, yeah, when I was a kid, anyway, point is for fun. I broke that out and I let the audience kind of shout at me about what choices to make as I worked. That guy.
That would be fun.
So that was really fun.
Yeah.
And so my point is that I enjoy turning the crowdfunding month, right? Because it's usually 30 days. Into a regular source of entertainment and regular fun reasons to come and check it out. So it's more fun for me and the guys working with me on it, but also it's more fun to you to hear about than saying please back us every day for 30 days. I mean, that's what I'm saying, but I'm also saying okay, please back us, but while you're thinking about that, come check out this whatever we're doing.
It also it builds a nice community. Yeah, I imagine like build a nice community, and those people are more likely to come back for the subsequent Kickstarters, where it's like, oh, we had fun the last time. I wonder what they'll do this time, and you get the book after everything goes down, which is even better. But
Exactly. I mean, the risk of sounding too cynical, oftentimes what I'm finding is the ethical thing or the fun thing or both those things is also better business. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
There's a lot of incentive just to like be a better person and have more fun while doing this kind of project, and I'm here for it because that's how I'd rather do it. I prefer that to if all the incentives were like screw people over, you'll do better. I mean, I'm really looking forward to doing that backer kit. And my point in mentioning all that fun stuff is that again, without getting lost in the details, backer kit is really smart about giving me tools, giving people running campaigns tools to make it into a party. So I'm very excited for what we'll be able to do this time.
Nice.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. I thought when you guys started saying something, I didn't want to step over you.
No. That was great.
But yeah, back to your question, Seth, about like, did 1 and 2 feel like a success? Well, the crowdfund obviously was, so hurrah.
Yeah.
And producing them, like I said, we learned some things, but at the end of the day, I'm very proud of what people have got to put in their hands or in their e-reader, or whatever. Is there a typo or two that we missed? Of course, always. You will find that in books put out by big 5 publishers with like names like Gaiman on them. But I'm okay with that. Like whatever, like we do our best every time, and ultimately, like it doesn't read like word salad. And people have been commenting not on like the typo on page 30, whatever that I can spot. They've been commenting on like, oh, I really love the physical object. Oh, I really love the page.
Yeah.
Even people. It's not often people I think get something like this and they comment on like they enjoy the paper quality. And they love the stories and the art. That might be important.
You read a lot, like that sort of like. I mean, I get a lot of RPG rule books.
Yeah,
the paper quality on some of those is pretty shite. So
yeah,
when you get a book that's got a nice page to turn, it matters. It really. God, I sound like such a nerd.
Seth, the next words that were about to come out of my mouth was, and I firmly believe this: you don't have to be a huge book production quality, whatever, nerd to care, because even if you don't know all the terminology or whatever, you don't know what paperweight means in that context, or what end pages are, or any of that shit. You just will feel with your thumb if something feels kind of like cheap photocopy paper.
Yeah,
you will notice if the ink and everything is just like ever so slightly smudged. You will, or the alignment is kind of off. You will notice graphic design is my passion, style cover design. You will notice when things are a bit shit, even if you don't have this specialized professional vocabulary for it or whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean, Seth, bless you, you got the hardcovers, and you sound like you were pretty happy with them, yeah?
Oh, I am. I'm immense. I have 2 bookshelves. I have my good bookshelf, which is right next to me. I have my other storage bookshelf, and those got to go on the good right next to me bookshelf.
within easy access.
Secretly, that was our goal this whole time. We knew about your shelves. You want to get on that good shelf.
Install cameras.
I really need a 3rd bookshelf, but fuck.
That is the bane of every book lover. Is just we never have enough shelf space.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. But yeah, and then the hardcovers. It's funny. We'll probably, I don't know. Right now, we're planning to print the same amount, but it's plausible we'll print more if we get enough orders this time around. Because I think now people have seen the traditionally printed ones with the bookmark ribbons and stuff. They'll be excited about them, and also they can wind up being collector items. Honestly, I mean, not that that's our plan. We're not marketing them as such. But the cost of reprinting them is prohibitive. Let me just say that. Yeah. So if you have, say, the issue #1 hardcover with the new Michael Moorcock story in it, the latest Elric, a lot of people wanted that for obvious reasons. Don't leave it on the floor, because we only printed 125, and there was a bit of overage, so more like 130. And once they're gone, they're gone. And as of this recording, we only have, I think, 6 or 7 left in inventory. So even I'm being like really careful with my copy. If something happens to it, I'm going to be out of luck. And I'm the freaking publisher.
I did actually have a question for you about the hardcover.
Please.
Is there a reason that the cover image is shrunk down?
Oh, okay. So what that's about is okay. So what Seth's referring to, for those you can't see the thing, and maybe you're not familiar with this yet. Our soft cover and digital editions have one cover design, and that one has like text over the art. For example, saying like this issue, blah blah, and like the little what I call it the T-shirt tag. We have a very small like little rectangle with our logo, the name, and the issue. Because I like to expose the art as much as possible and not cover it up too much with a big logo. Our hardcovers look a little different. Those ones, they basically have like a picture frame, right? Because every issue has two dominant colors that we use for our logos and everything, and the darker color usually will be the like the picture frame around that cover, and then shrunk down, as you're saying, is the original painting that has been used for all the covers. And so what that's about for me is issue in the digital and soft cover, those are the more accessible ones. The soft cover we print hundreds more obviously than the hardcover, and those are the ones that might wind up on, and actually will wind up on soon, because that's another exciting thing. We're going to start getting into stores soon. So that's something you might see on a shelf, and you need like that text to sell people, because they might come to it having no idea what the hell it is, right? Whereas the hardcovers, because of the lower print run, they're basically a creature of the Kickstarter and a little bit left over for direct retail on our website. So with those, I expect people to come to it probably knowing what we are, knowing enough, and really liking like the beautiful physical object kind of thing, like I say. And so for me there, I just want it to be like, oh, look at this painting. It's like you're getting like a little work of art. I just want to frame it for you.
You're not covering anything with the lettering.
Pardon me?
Like you're not covering like anything with like the titles or anything. It's always just the art is not impeded.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what it's about to me. It's about really showing it off. That's what we're going to keep doing moving forward. Is just have the hardcovers be like, look at this freaking uncovered art, and then the soft cover is the more classic magazine thing with all the fun blurbs and everything on it.
I like to say I didn't bring that up to be critical. It was more because I really liked the art. It was like, this is really different to the way everyone else does the cover of a book. This would have been a, top to bottom, that picture with the writing over it. Whereas you've sectioned it out and been like, no. This artist did a bitchin' piece of artwork. We're just going to put it in the middle and you can enjoy that.
You're going to look at this. It's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Because like I was saying a minute ago, like I really, really love the art side of this as well as the literary side. And so, to me, like I say, the hardcover, you know what we are, or you know what we are enough to want to get it in the nicest format. I'm not stressed about selling you on it with the cover copy, right?
Oh, we're already in. That's fine.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Trust me, this was 100%. We didn't get copies from Oliver. We put our own money in, put our money where our mouth is. We bought our copies, and we are incredibly happy with them. And I can guarantee you, I'm going to try and do better than 14th backer on this 3 and 4.
Yeah, we'll be camping out next time.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. It's funny you mentioned that, because do we have a special reward for people who back us in the first 48 hours? Sure do, and it's going to be different than last year's. Last year's was like a bookmark where the only way you get to see the art on that bookmark is if you backed us in the first bit. This time it's something different. I may as well get into this part of it all, I guess. So there is a unique reward I'm not going to spoil that will only go to one person, the very first backer. So whatever format they get, they can get it in digital. I don't care. I don't look down on the quote unquote lesser formats. I keep talking about the hardcover. I worry I'm putting people off, but it's like I love all three. They all have their merits. We try to make all three of them work as best we can. And I mean, digital is great for being the most accessible, which is important to me as well, financially, and also in terms of you can put on your e-reader and make the fonts different and stuff.
That's why I read episode 0.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's accessible. That's important. And classic softcover, I mean, that's a classic magazine format. You love that. But anyway, my point is, regardless of at what level you pledge, as long as you're getting the magazine, the very first backer will get a completely unique reward mailed to them personally by myself. So there's that. This is maybe incentive. I guess when you guys are hearing this, probably the campaign isn't launched. So sorry, actually, crap, I shouldn't have mentioned that. It's probably gone to someone. But it's
you're honestly going to be a fight between the three, sitting there refreshing the page. Yes, give me the thing.
I'm sorry, but it's all the more reason to sign up with our mailing list, which we don't abuse. I'm a big believer in sending it infrequently and only when there's big news. I don't do the weekly thing,
Can confirm.
so that you can get in on our next crowdfund. Right, cheers. Yeah, we've all got busy inboxes. That's my feeling. But yeah, it's a really big incentive to get on our mailing list, is because I want to keep rewarding people who get on it to hear about things first. So anyway, my point is there was a unique prize. Sorry, for the first person. Maybe one of you guys ended up getting it. We won't know. We're recording this before, right? And then the first 48 hours, there's a reward. I kind of made a little Katamari ball for those. God damn it. Dork reference. I made a ball of rewards. You look up Katamari, kids. Anyway, Katamari Damacy. Yeah. So okay. So last year, in issues 1 and 2, we had a page, pretty traditional Kickstarter thing, right? We had a page in issue 1 with the lists of names of everybody who backed us at the physical tier level, just saying thank you, right?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Happy to do it. Proud tradition, crowdfunding. This year, I was like, well, I can't just do the same thing again. What I want to do is like my thank you to the people who back us on the crowdfund, because without them, there's no magazine. I think it's important to give a little extra. So I was scratching my head, and then I remembered something that I loved as a kid. Do you guys, I don't know if you had this in Australia, I'm guessing, but I mean, also, I'm probably a little older than you. Did you guys ever have sticker books when you were little?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you'd buy like a pack of cards, but it wouldn't be cards, it'd be stickers, and you'd hope that you'd match them up to the empty frames in the book, right? Oh, this one says 12 on it. Great, I can fill the window number 12 or whatever. So I was thinking, okay, I wanted a reward for people who backed us, period. I wanted a reward for people who backed us in the first 48 hours, because I really want to try and get us to minimum funding in that time, and then I can relax a little bit more. And I really wanted a reward for returning backers, right? Because even though we switched platforms, because we used BackerKit for the fulfillment the first time around, we'll know if you're coming back. So these are like 3 things, like backers, returning backers, early backers. And I was like, man, 3 rewards. How do I get 3 rewards all together? I know. And a thank you to the crowdfunding people. The back page, I think it'll be the back page of probably issue 3. So, but you'll get it. You'll get the crowdfunds for both issues. It's going to be a sticker book page, and so everybody who backs it are going to get a sticker that will be a piece of what you call flash fiction. So it's probably a couple hundred words. It's relatively short. Don't know who the writer is at the moment. Possibly me. Because I also write. I'm not just, and then so that's like left hand of the page, column, kind of thing. People who, I hope I'm not messing this up, it'll all be on the campaign page. People who back us early will get in the top right a sticker of art for the flash fiction. So you'll get an illustration to go with that. And then people who are returning backers will get the final quarter of the page, sticker with a little bit of art and the cocktail recipe, this tradition we started for a laugh with the last 2 issues. Our social media coordinator, Kevin, loves to invent cocktails and test them out at bars with friends. So we had like an Elric cocktail and a Jarell Jory cocktail in the last 2 issues. So that'll be like the 3rd sticker. And I mean, if people aren't returning backers or they missed the 48-hour thing, you can buy the sticker and as an add-on. We don't want to be too cheeky. But if you want to get it for free kind of thing, you'll be a returning backer or an early backer. And so, it's really fun. It's like filling out that page, getting it's like we invented DLC for a magazine, which I know some people probably will be like, oh, what? But my feeling is like, you can have this page of extra stuff that you get in various ways, or you could just have a page that says a bunch of names that says thank you. I mean, I suspect the fun of this sticker page is worth it, even if you don't necessarily get all the stickers. So that's kind of our like thank you page, as it were, to the crowdfund people. And a bunch.
It does help that our generation, our generation like grew up with sticker books. That's gonna be like a nice nostalgic thing for everyone in our age brackets. I think
it's nostalgic. Stickers. Yeah, I think it's nostalgic for people who grew up with them. Plus, I also think to some degree, I don't think stickers ever went away. I just don't know if kids have sticker books now, but I have to assume.
One of my sisters is a kindergarten teacher. Stickers are very much still a bribable thing for children. Absolutely.
Exactly. So I mean, they haven't gone anywhere really. So I think anybody will have fun with this, and just like I say, so it's that fun mixture of collectible and nostalgic, and just like a novel way to do a thank you. So that's our main thing. But there's also going to be other crowdfund exclusives, just like a whole bunch of stuff to just try and make it worth people's time.
I certainly hope there's the one we talked to you
wait till
about.
later. I'm sorry.
I certainly hope there's the one we talked to you about.
Yeah,
We're
there is
dreaming
a sort
about
of stealth.
that,
Yeah, I can't talk about it, but there is a stealth stretch goal. There is a secret thing that may happen. That's all I can say. It's very annoying when people say that, so I'll just say there's a stealth stretch goal. Sorry, folks, but if it happens, I'll be very loud about it. But yeah, I mean, like I said, we've got all these things. We're looking at having, the logo, our double-headed battle axe logo. People really like that, and I love having different colors every single issue. And we actually, once the issues came out, 1 and 2. We switched our logo across our website and all our socials to the issue 2 logo, which is kind of fun. People are like, wait, what happened? It just changed, keeps things fresh. So yeah, we're going to have a logo pin, an enamel pin, that will be a fun add-on. And we're actually going to have a vote. This is that whole getting the community, chatting and doing things instead of just passively being told, to back it. We're going to have a vote on the page for what colors that you want. So you guys get to choose that. So yeah. So I'm doing the pin thing. Yeah, you can all do battle to get the ones you prefer. And
they'll definitely be fights. It'll be fine.
We'll battle over the action.
But yeah, so there's all that kind of stuff. But I haven't even gotten into like, what have we learned? What have we carried forward? What's exciting about issues 3 and 4? So yeah, I as we discussed last time, I was very lucky. We got Sword Sorcery Living Legend Michael Moorcock to do an original story. Turned out to be an Elric story. That was very funny. I think a lot of people assumed I knew what he was writing for us for issue 1. I did not. I did not know it for a little while. Yeah, it was a case of he said yes, and I went, "Thank you, sir," and I just got that was it. I didn't want to question it. I would publish.
Yeah,
you don't look like you've tossed the mouth.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't even know during the crowdfund, which is why we just said Michael Moorcock, new story. If I had known it was going to be Elric, I would have been very loud about that. But it was after the crowdfund that he said, by the way, it's going to be a new Elric story. So I was like, oh, okay. That was very exciting. And then also, bless him, Mike even gave me his time, right? Obviously, he's got his novels he's working on and stuff. Very busy guy. And I said to him, okay, well, the word count for our stories on average is 4,000 to 6,000 words. If you can give me something in that neck of the woods, I'd really appreciate it. And he said, well, and he said this publicly in interviews, so I'm not outing him here. He said, I've been kind of having some health issues with my hands. Typing's kind of tricky. So I don't know, maybe it'll be more of a vignette. And I was like, okay. And I got a little nervous. I was like, maybe it'll be 1,000 words. And I mean, I'll take what he gives me. I mean, I would be grateful. But would our backers feel cheated, right? Would they feel like, oh, he said new Moorcock and it's like, 500 to 1,000 words. Is that enough to satisfy people? So I was a little nervous, I'll be honest, but I trusted him. And then eventually, after a few months go by, he said, I'm flying, across the Atlantic. I'm going from A to B. And he sort of joked. He said, I haven't finished the story, but here's what I have so far, just in case the plane messes up the landing. And I was like, okay, I hope that doesn't happen. I mean, I don't want it to die, period. But as a publisher, it'd be very funny to be like, funny, strange to be like, well, here's an incomplete final story. Oh my God.
Yeah.
He's alive, obviously, spoiler. He made it. But I got that, and that was, about 3,500 words, and he was saying it'd be about 4,000 words, right at the bottom end of what I was looking for, and I was like, fine, great, awesome, thank you.
Nice.
I'm one of those people that if you give me the opportunity to eat a thing, I will eat the thing. If you give me the opportunity to be surprised, I will try and ruin the surprise because I just want the thing now. I don't have the best impulse control, so it blows my mind that I didn't read the incomplete draft. I wanted my initial read to be the full story. As an editor, I felt that it would give me a better perspective to work with him on it. My staff, bless them, that I work with, were like, "Give me!" I was like, "Okay, I'll let you guys can read it." Yeah. And that was kind of fun because then they had the unique perspective of reading it without the ending and then reading the final version. But yeah, so then what happens is he says to me, "We're getting a little late in production. We're getting the proofing's kind of going through some early stages that we could do without having everything written." And then he says to me, "Oliver, I've had a massive brainstorm. I'm going to do a full rewrite." I trust you because you're Michael Moorcock. If you were a number of other authors, I would be very concerned right now. Yeah. But okay. Oh God. And then, like magic, I mean, he put the work in, but like magic, it felt to me a week and a half later, he sends me the thing and he says in the email, all right, it's 8,000 words. It just blew up. And I read it. I printed it out. I took it to a cafe that sold pints, and I sat on their patio. This is back in July. It's nice weather, and I went, okay, I'm doing this right. And I just turned my phone off completely, and I just sat with it. And I gave it 100% my attention, as you can imagine. And I got to have this experience that, lots of other people before me have. He's not his first publisher, but still, in the grand scheme of things, not a lot of people get to do. Just reading the first proper draft of a new Elric story. This character he's been writing since 1961. It was, and you know what? It delivered. It delivered because I had faith in him. But you get surprises sometimes. You get big authors who've been writing characters for a long time, writing in general for a long time. And they sometimes get a little high on their own farts, and their work degrades because editors don't say no to them, and they think everything they do is magical. And you just kind of have to be like, well, late period, this guy, it's not as good, but this was not that. Mike delivered, absolutely delivered, and it wasn't just a fun adventure, but it has this big emotional just punch at the end that surprised the shit out of me. And I only had one pint. I wasn't that emotional because of the beer. I'm sitting there with 10 empty glasses. It's so beautiful. But
that would be me.
but yeah, it really, really, really worked, man. And that was a really wonderful experience. So that was something that was really great about producing those issues, which is getting to work with him and discovering that it was a 10 out of 10 Meet Your Heroes experience. He is as lovely and sweet and fun and professional and courteous. He has no ego. He has self-respect, but he has no ego, and he is more justified to have it than any other writer I've worked with. So it was so lovely. And there was even one point where we were just talking about cats, and I ended up sending a cat picture to Michael Moorcock, and there's a sentence to say out loud.
Not did you get to meet your heroes, you get to show off your pets. Yes. It's always a fun thing when you meet your heroes and send the pictures of your pets. Always a fun thing.
It's just so I say all this. It sounds a little braggy, but my point in sharing all this, aside from the fact that this is me relaying the story of how making the issues went, is I just want anyone listening, yes, he is as wonderful as you would hope he would be, and I think that's just nice to know.
It is. It really is.
It
is.
That was fun. Working with all the other authors was a good experience too, by the way. I don't have any horror stories, not that I would share them, that would be unprofessional, but it was really great working with them and the artists. And I can't wait to take everything that we've learned from producing issues 1 and 2 and apply it to issues 3 and 4. In fact, I've already started doing that because this time around I feel confident enough going into the crowdfund. I think we'll do it. I think we'll do minimum at least. I want to blow past that, but so most of the writing's done. We were talking about long Kickstarter turnarounds, right? And there's me feeling shameful about 10 months. And meanwhile, that's true. Actually, that's not too bad. But I want to do better. I always want to do better. So most of the writing is done. Some of it's fully edited as well, which is nice. So my hope is, we'll see what happens. I might eat shit on this because who knows what's going to happen in the world at large. But assuming I don't fall down a flight of stairs or whatever, we should have the new issues going out to backers in the summer of 2024, this very year. And I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited about getting them out quicker, just having a quicker turnaround, especially because it'll also mean there'll be a bit of a gap between these issues and the next year's issues, which will give me a little bit of a break. I have been editing one short story or another since I had the idea for the thing in June of 2022.
Yeah, you have not stopped. It's just been constant.
Can I say, good on you for that? Because, most people would have just dropped that and been too much effort.
It seems mostly held on to sanity.
Mostly, yeah. No, I am human and I have my flaws, but I'm very dogged. So luckily, that's helped to keep me, chugging away through it, and I'm just loving doing what I'm doing. But I am looking forward to a little bit of a break from editing that stuff, and so that's cool. If we ever go quarterly, then I'll never stop. But we'll see what happens there. So we're going to issues 3. So we're going to issues 3 and 4. What's exciting about that, other than that we'll have quicker turnaround? It's your production schedule, Oliver. Oh, that's very exciting. It is nice, but it's not the meat and potatoes of what's exciting. So Okay, so once again, we're going to be working with a lot of really talented artists. We've got some returning champions. We're swapping some new people. I know one artist, a lot of people like hearing his name, Goran Gligovic. Give him a Google. He has done some incredibly fine art.
Oh, he
And
has.
one thing that he's done that people get to see that gets shared around a lot is two things. He's done art for the Black Hack role-playing games. You might want to check that out. Just look at the covers as well as the actual interior. It's a very sword and sorcery kind of vibe as opposed to classic border fantasy. So it's very suitable if you want to play stuff like your own take on Elric, let's say. He's also, speaking of Elric again, he's also done such good renditions of an imaginary Elric animated series and an imaginary Earthsea animated series. He's putting himself out there in I think a very smart way, trying to get people like, hey, what if you paid me to, but also it's just very cool and shareable. These things do the rounds, so you might have seen those. And one person actually then took it further and they animated a little bit of one of his illustrations on YouTube. So it kind of became real,
nice.
for 20 seconds. One of the better little monologues of Elric. But anyway, so Goran Gligovic is one of them, and then there's just like another God, sorry, people listening. I had to get up a little early for this, so my brain's not fully functional. But I want to say 17 artists. So, anyway, so and each one with a very unique style. That's something else we try and do. I love the classic fantasy art styles. I love the traditional sort of D&D stuff, and we do have that represented here. One good example of that is Simon Underwood. He's wonderful. He's been with us every year so far. We're very happy to bring him back. But I also like having a surprises. I'll just say that. There's going to be some people whose styles you might not expect, but they work very well with the stories they've been paired with.
Nice.
Good art, great authors. We've got, Michael Moorcock is technically returning. He's kind of a bonus story this time around because he's quite busy writing his new novel, so I'm afraid it's not a new original, it's a reprint, but it is a reprint of an obscure Elric story that you will not find in the complete saga collection, those big hardcovers that came out.
Just getting
found on the couch cushions. Yeah, it's been was found on the couch cushions. Hidden behind the file.
He was looking through his cupboard and he found an Elric story. So that's kind of cool. It's one that's not in that collection, and also we're of course going to jazz it up by pairing it with original art. That's fun to have. So Moorcock returns, but that's not all, folks. He said, sounding like a late night TV ad. Something else we have that I'm very proud of in terms of sort of a big name author. If you're a fan of alternate history, you've probably heard the name Harry Turtledove. So Harry Turtledove is kind of like,
I do know that name. I know that name.
I've heard that. I think I've read something of his. That name sounds very familiar.
Yeah, well, he's quite prolific. He's been writing, for decades, and he does other things, but he is mostly known for his alternate history stories, exploring things like what if, aliens had invaded at the cusp of World War II? How would that change things? That was my first exposure to him. And he's explored things like, well, what if the Civil War went differently because of technological advances? He's explored things like, I'm tired and dumb right now, but he has a really neat series that's kind of like fantasy Byzantium. And, what if there are certain fantastical elements introduced to human history, that kind of thing. So he really likes to he's a real student of history and likes to go, well, what if we tweaked it? What then?
Yeah.
And because Sword and Sorcery, its roots are, it was born out of historical adventure fiction. It was born out of Robert E. Howard going, okay, let's take classic historical adventure and throw a wizard in there and see what happens. So, I think he's a really great match to bring into our Sword and Sorcery magazine. And he's doing a story which is going to be set in and around the Jewish kingdom of Yemen in 570 AD, which is a setting that not a lot of things have explored. And I also tell you, I've read the manuscript. I think it's really neat. I think people will really dig that. So you don't have to be a history nerd, but it helps, kind of thing. Very happy to have Harry with us. And then, we've got a bunch of other names in there, like Premium Muhammad is an upcoming Canadian author I'm very happy to have in there, and happy to have Canadian representation.
Always good.
There's something I didn't even touch upon, of course, our whole thing of trying to have a more inclusive sword and sorcery scene is probably part of what our magazine does, right? Our slogan is made with love for the classics and an inclusive, boundary-pushing approach to storytelling. So we will even publish Filthy Canadians. But yes, so we've got that. And then what I'm really happy is I was so happy to have Elric last year. I'm happy to have him return in his reprint form this year. Woof! Sorry if you heard that. I've got a puppy in the background. But yes, but don't worry, my puppy is not the character that I'm excited about in the magazine.
I am.
What I'm excited about is Can you imagine? Just like a little terrier with a battle axe in his mouth. I mean, I'd read that.
I would read the shit out of
Someone
that.
writing issues 5 and 6. Come on.
Yeah, actually. Well, yeah. Now I can just see
the
cover
terrier
art.
terror.
Before we...
Oh, that would be the best artwork.
Oh crap. Okay. Well, all right, folks. I've spoiled issues 5 and 6. Sorry, but what I'm very happy to announce is that Elric, in his return as in a reprint, will not be the only classic legacy sword and sorcery character in the magazine this coming year. This year, pardon me. Sorry, I'm used to thinking of it as the future. It's January. Well, so okay, cast your mind back to the 30s, and we all know Robert E. Howard and his character Conan, and that's seen as the birth of the genre, right?
Yeah.
But he wasn't the only one there. We also have people like Fritz Leiber and his original thieves, Fafford and Grey Mouser. They're worth looking up for a bunch of reasons.
Yes.
But yeah, great stuff there. I could talk about in detail. We also have people like Clark Ashton Smith, who did a mixture of sword and sorcery and horror, and then a little more horror forward. He's very interesting, worth checking out. And we also have Catherine L. Moore, who was the first woman author. Now, I think this is a tricky thing when you're talking about this stuff sometimes, because you want to say, okay, well, she was the first woman author of sword and sorcery, but you don't want to make it sound like, well, her gender was all she brought to the table. If that's what she brought to the table, that would be a neat footnote. But Catherine L. Moore was very remarkable for the strength of her prose, the very emotionally grounded, very dream logic kind of tales that she wrote. And she was in regular correspondence with Robert E. Howard and other people in that kind of weird tale circle like H.P. Lovecraft, and she influenced them. Robert E. Howard said as much in his letters that he ended up writing characters like his Dark Agnes Swordwoman character, or some of the backup characters like Valyria, in Red Nails there and Conan, because of how inspired he was by what Catherine brought to the table in her writing and in her discussions of craft with him. So, right there, direct impact as well as influences going forward through the years, mainly for her character, Jirel of Joiry, who was a 14th century French warlord. And she was the original red-headed, swordswoman kind of thing. She was there before Red Sonja, before any of those other, characters that we've grown to love later. And she is on the cover of our issue 3 because I really love those stories. There's only really 5 of them. There's a 6th one that was kind of like her and her future husband had a bit of a goof and wrote like a crossover where Jirel meets a science fiction character of hers called Northwest Smith, who was like a prototype Han Solo. It's fine, but the 5 main Jirel stories, those are the ones you want to read, and they have been reprinted in one anthology or another since 1969. There's a very affordable paperback put out by Gollancz that you can find on Amazon, so very easy to check out, available digitally as well. And in these 5 stories, I have sometimes when I've had to do it in a sentence, who's Jirel Joiry, what's her deal, what are her stories like, I would say, well, it's not perfect because I'm by definition being reducing her to a sentence, but I would say she's like Alice in Wonderland with a big fucking broadsword, because Jirel Joiry is technically of our world, but basically every story she winds up very quickly. There's usually been some huge battle or something, and now we're like, well, now what's going to happen next? Like war, like not just her fighting a guy with a sword, let's say. And then what happens next is she winds up through one way or another going to another world entirely. It can be an alternate realm where the rules of perspective movement are completely different. That one's called the Dark Land, and that's a very cleverly written story to convey how strange it is for her moving around and just perceiving where she is, never mind the challenges she's encounters there. Or, the most widely reprinted story of hers, most widely discussed, is called Black God's Kiss. And in Black God's Kiss,
I've heard that
she has been... it opens with her having been defeated, and she's thrown in the dungeon, kind of thing. And this warlord Guillaume is I'm probably mispronouncing that because I'm not great at French, which makes me a terrible Canadian. But Guillaume has defeated her and throws her in the dungeon, kind of thing. And she gets lucky and gets let out by the priest of the castle. And then the priest goes, "Okay, well, I guess we're going to try and escape, right?" And she's like, "No, have you forgotten about what we have in the basement?" And the priest is like, "I thought we agreed not to talk about that anymore." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm going to go down there." And he's like, "God can't watch over you there," because 14th century France, right? There's religion here. And she's like, "No, I'm going to go down to what is empirically worse than hell to find a thing that I can use to give a fate worse than death to this son of a bitch who has taken my castle." And she, very pointedly, when she gets down there, she just takes the cross off from around her neck. This won't help me here. And off she goes into something that I could not do justice describing verbally to you here. But it is just, oh boy, it's a hell of an adventure, and has a real emotional gut punch. At the end, like I'm used that phrase earlier, sorry, but it has action and weirdness and dream logic that nonetheless works out by the end. It's kind of like with the best of David Lynch, where you're like, that was messed up, but I get it.
Yeah.
And her character is not. Not that the term existed in the 30s, but she's not a Mary Sue or a Marty Stew. She's very capable, but she is human and flawed, and she's very impetuous. She has a tremendous temper, which is sort of her superpower in a way. It kind of helps her get through situations, and but also can cause her to brush into stuff or do something and feel, oh crap, maybe I should have done that later. Her temper is conveyed so well too. It's not just the red hair. I mean, what I love about her appearance that we checked. Nobody in all of the art of her over all these years has ever done this until our cover art with her. Canonically, she has these lion yellow eyes, and you might think yellow eyes, that's weird, but yellow eyes and the red hair, you'll see in the cover art, man, it's great. I love it. But she's just, everything about her just is so intense. And it's kind of tossed off a line at one point. She says, "I'm no stranger to light loving," like whatever, she's not, she wants to see with the guy she will, who cares, and so she's very, she pursues whatever she wants to do, but she's not what I would ever call a sexualized character. And one thing actually I really love. Okay, so C.L. Moore has been dead for decades, right? She died in 1989. So what is this new story, Oliver? Is this something that she wrote and it was left in a drawer? No. She put out all the stories that she wrote, and she moved on and did other things with her career. So this is what you would call a pastiche, which is when you write a story as close as you can to the style of the author while still trying to bring something new to the equation. And this story is written by an accomplished author named Molly Tanzer. She has written many books. You can just give her a Google if you want to check out her bibliography. But one of the reasons I wanted to work with her, other than the fact that she came, frankly, highly recommended by people I trust, was the fact that she edited an anthology called Swords versus Cthulhu, which is a very fun anthology of basically what it sounds like, sword and sorcery stories that are particularly thickly riven with the mythos of Lovecraftian type stuff. So, easy premise to understand, and it's a great read, and it makes it very clear that, she can't just... She not only writes it, but she can understand it well enough to edit it and oversee an anthology. And I mean, that really spoke well to me. So, and we had a phone call, as you would, where she kind of was getting to know me and, do I want to work with this guy? And I was thinking, is she the right person? Because I'd spoken with the estate of C.L. Moore. I'd gotten the rights. I'd paid the money, signed the contract. Who do I entrust now with this precious prize of getting to write the first new Jarell of Jory story in 85 years, since Hell's Guard in 39. And she said a lot of the things I've already kind of shared with you that made it clear about like what Jarell is about, and but then she said one thing that made me laugh and go, yeah, I think she gets it. Jarell has terrible taste in men. Yeah. And it's kind of part of the fun, along with the fact that she's not a very nice person sometimes. She is a 14th century warlord. She has a dungeon of her own. That's what she got thrown in, right? It was her own castle in that first story. And she, she likes kind of big, hunky guys that are not very nice or whatever. And it's kind of her vice. It's kind of fun. I'll just say that. Yeah. So yeah, that was one of many, many different aspects of Jarell, along with say her fiery temper, her faith, actually, which is an unusual thing. You don't get much in the way of sword and sorcery characters with faith. And the fact that she so often goes into these weird, dreamlike, strange realms, all of this has been swirled together by Molly Tanzer into a new 12,000 word story. We wanted to really give this double the length space that we normally give stories in the magazine. It'll have double art, right? It'll have 2 illustrations or 4 if we hit our first stretch goal, which once again is double art. Better bloody well hit that.
I'm all for more art, always.
Yeah. The story is called Jarell and the Court of Truth. And okay, I'm here, I'm pitching, I'm telling you about this. Of course, I'm going to say it's great, blah, blah. But for real, like, if it wasn't bloody wonderful, I would probably minimize this and move on quickly. Yeah, we got a new Jarell story anyway, and kind of start talking about other aspects of the magazine. I'm spending all this time talking about it, aside from the fact that I think Jarell Jory is a really cool character I want more people to know about. She's so foundational to fantasy fiction in general, and sword and sorcery in particular. Once you know her, you'll know a lot of like things you've seen later. Oh, that must have been influenced by, which is always fun. And she's just, they're empirically good stories to read. They work well, even now, it's not like they feel outdated or whatever. But I think what Molly's written, Jarell and the Court of Truth, is a perfect Don't say anything's perfect, because then you set people up to go, oh yeah,
Yeah.
they try and find trouble with it. It accomplished
quality
every
success.
goal it accomplished every goal I had as an editor. It feels like it follows C.L. Moore's stories very nicely. It has Easter eggs for people who know the stuff, but you don't have to know any of that to enjoy the story. It works very well for people who've read all the old stories 100 times, and is a great introduction to the character. If you've never heard of Sherlock before, you can read this and understand it and enjoy the hell out of it. And it even ends on a note which is satisfying for the story unto itself. It closes the narrative, but leaves us in a fun place where if we get to do more, it could be a launch pad to more. So we'll see what happens.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm just so excited to be bringing this character back. So yeah, that's definitely, like, as you can tell from me going on a bit, pardon me, that is one of the big things we're bringing this year, and I look forward to people discovering this character and checking her out.
I mean, it's
I've been
really
on for a minute.
amazing.
Sorry, guys.
You keep getting these, like, you got a new Elric story. You've gotten someone to write a new story in a legacy franchise. You're really pulling out some big stuff for this, and you're only like 4 issues in.
Yeah. Like, you don't do things by half.
Cheers. Yeah, I mean, I do my best. I mean, I made a pretty crappy breakfast this morning, but with the magazine, I try to put my back into it.
Fair.
But I mean, like, it's clearly paying off, because you, like I said, you may have by chance gotten Moorcock's email to send him a message. You still landed him for the first issue, and now you've done this as well. Like no downplay here, man. Like, that's awesome. The fact you've done it twice in a row now.
It does set up expectations there, right? I was thinking, once I got this set up, I was like, oh crap, what am I going to do in 2025? At this point, I feel like I'd have to, raise Robert E. Howard from the dead.
You'll find a way. It's okay.
God. Oh my god, yeah. No, I actually, the funny thing is, I'm already daydreaming about what we might do next year. Because that's publishing, right? You think about the way publishing works. It's a very slow, long-term thinking kind of thing. So of course, I'm already thinking about the following year. But I hope we're building people's faith that whatever we do, whether or not you're familiar with whatever character we get or author we get, that we've chosen something that's very high quality and that you'll enjoy them. So no, I'm really excited about issues 3 and 4, and I still have, I've got notes here in front of me, folks, because I literally forget all the things we're doing. Like, bookmark ribbons will be in the hardcovers again. I'm very happy about that. There's a stealth stretch goal. Otherwise, stretch goals this year. The very first one is double art. The very second one, I remember I talked about this last year, and it was kind of way higher up, and it was a bit out of reach for us last year. This time, the second stretch goal, only the second one, is international shipping discount. Which,
I'm okay with
if
this.
you're on the I'm talking to Australians here, right? So I figured that would go over okay. Yeah, if we hit that stretch goal, Canadians get $5 off of the shipping, and everybody who lives in the country known as international, so everywhere outside of North America, gets $10 off, because we do appreciate shipping's a bit dire these days. Yeah. And then after that, it's nonstop writer pay bump, then author pay bump, then writer pay bump, then author pay bump, just to infinity and beyond. Why would I put a roof on that? Because we care about our creators and we want them to get paid as well as possible. And that's one of the sort of weird. Pardon me?
I agree with that. I always loved that in the first, the stretch goals, just the constant pay increases. Like, yes, you get the things.
We've made the magazine already pretty good, I think, at base level. I don't think we need to have a bunch of stretch goals for gilding the lily too much. And then the double art, which gives the artists a second piece to do. So that's kind of a pay raise, sort of. And to me, it's just this kind of thing of the double art thing is great because it incentivizes people to want to back it more. And then the shipping thing will hopefully incentivize people outside of North America or outside of the States, period, really. To go for the physical copies, which I personally am so in love with. And then there's two things combined, I hope will drive us up through those pay bumps for the creators. Because I wish I could just at base level pay them a huge sum. But if I did that, the minimum goal of this thing would make it probably not happen. And then nobody gets paid anything, right? So this is the kind of dance you do as a publisher. You really want to do well by the people you're when you do the crowdfunding model, you really want to do well by the people you're working with, but you also want to make sure the thing actually like happens. So but that's the beauty of stretch goals, right? We can hopefully, I think this time around, go further than we did last year. I'm very optimistic for how that will go.
So,
but, we'll see.
What sort of like brackets have we got with this one this time?
Like pledge tiers?
Gonna be, like what we're gonna get.
Oh, okay. Well, the funny thing is, we're not that far. We're about 18 days from launch as we're recording this, and you better believe there's still some last minute scrabbling around. That's how that goes.
Oh, always.
So, yeah. So my point in saying that is that the pledge tiers are still being finalized, but I can promise this at least. We have a silly little one that's like, for $2, you don't get anything, but you can get the updates on the campaign. And you know what?
Yeah.
People get that. Sometimes people just want to be getting all the updates, and then sometimes near the end they go, okay, fine, and they upgrade to softcover or whatever. So we do have that. If you just want to, just kind of hang around the campaign and enjoy the community stuff, $2. We also, of course, have digital. Get both issues in digital. We have softcover. Get both issues in softcover. Also, I want to point out another reason to get this during the crowdfund. The digital issues, if you get soft or hardcover, you get the digital as well for free. They're sold separately later. So there's another reason to get things on the crowdfund if you want to have all the formats, right? So yeah, there's softcover, there's hardcover. And then there's a tier that I threw on kind of like, who's going to get this, last year. All formats. So you would get each issue in softcover and hardcover and digital. Actually, we had about 20 people go for that last year. Some people want all of it. And honestly, God bless you all. So that is a nice tier for me as a publisher. Thank you for getting at that tier.
I'm sorry, I'm only going to back it hardcover myself.
Yeah, you cheap bastard. No. That's by the way, a pro tip. A good sales technique is to call people bastards. But yes,
it works in Australia a lot.
I mean, some people like it. But yeah, so those are the basics. And I know for sure we're going to have those. Yeah. Now after that, well, what is there, right? There's going to be like the wacky thing. Like, sometimes people like to put on Kickstarters like the ones you expect, and then they have like, for $10,000, I'll kiss your mom, or whatever, just nonsense. And once in a blue moon, somebody gets those, right? A platinum coated, whatever. I didn't do any of those last year. I thought, let's just give people the magazine. The old formats one felt kind of like that to me, but like I said, people got it, so hooray. This year, I feel like I was like, okay, well, what is something we could do for that? So I am contemplating these as of recording. We may have them. One is I've been told by enough people now. I do it for a bit of money on the side, as well as, of course, doing it through the magazine professionally, kind of thing. I am an editor. I edit short fiction. I've edited many people's work at this point. I've, of course, edited every single name you see in the magazine. So if you yourself are a writer, and ideally sword and sorcery, but I actually am quite comfortable with other genres, I think we're going to have a tier, just a very limited one, just for a few people, maybe 3, maybe 5, where you get like the magazine, but also I will edit your short story of a certain length. And you know what? I'll call it. Let's say 5,000 words. Sort of the middle of what we do in the magazine. So if you like the magazine, if you like what's in there, and you think, I would like to get some professional help with my work, as well as get the issues, that's something I think I'm going to offer. I think. And then the other one, I have to talk with the artists about this. So I don't know yet, but I like the idea. Okay, so there's a term for this, and I'm totally forgetting it. It's like somethingization or whatever, but it's like where you get your name given to a character in a story, right? So like sometimes people do this where they like crowdfund or whatever, and then it's like, and then Elric encountered Barry, and like so people, I've seen some crowdfunds do that, and that's cool. But I've seen people do that, so I was like, what can I do that I haven't seen? I'm sure someone's done this, but I haven't seen it. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to talk to our artists, and I think I'm going to see if I can get one artist, because I don't want to do this too much, but just for one person who gets this pledge tier, I want to put your face on a character in the art of one of the stories. So maybe you'll be like a palace guard or something like that. Something that makes sense. Obviously, I'm not going to put you on a monster. That would be mean. But yeah, some humanish character that's in one of the stories. If you want to get your face in the magazine, then that would be cool. A one, that's or maybe really cool. At most 2 people can get it tier. as a fun extra thing.
Oh,
So
yeah,
yeah, that's it. I other than that, I don't know, man. Like I say, once in a while you get people who they put like $10,000 and we'll make you a producer on the short film. I can't think of anything like that for the magazine, but if I think of it, it will be there. I promise.
I think those two are really good, actually, because like it definitely like the minute you said like get your face in the magazine, I'm like, how much have I got in savings? I don't know what to do.
All right, well there you go. So I hope I can get an artist to go along with it. I'm sure I can, but that was something I was like, okay, that'd be kind of fun. I like that. And it gives me something fun to do of like where do I put your face and what story, that kind of thing. And otherwise, we'll have some add-ons that we haven't. Last year we didn't really have add-ons because we were so new. This time around, if you want to get caught up, you could get issues 1 and 2 in softcover or digital. As an add-on, so that's if you're coming into this and going, oh, issues 3 and 4, I don't know. Well, get issues 3 and 4 and get caught up, get 1 and 2 while you're at it. So that's an option. As I say, people who are not returning backers or miss the first 48 hours of the crowdfund can get those stickers as an add-on that I mentioned earlier. The enamel pin will be a fun add-on as well. After people vote on whatever the colors are. So
I'm definitely getting that one.
And there might be an extra freebie I'm contemplating putting in. Okay, I'm gonna commit. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna on here exclusive. You
right here.
Okay, so what? This might get a little in the numbers and the weeds, but follow me on this, folks. So crowdfunding campaigns, they always have a follow this campaign page that goes up before they actually launch, right?
Yeah.
Because the hope is to have just like a business card saying, hey, new book from so-and-so, new board game, whatever it is, you want to be there on day 1, hit this button and follow, and we'll email you the second it goes live, kind of thing, right? And that number of how many campaign followers you have, like that's an important metric, of course, for people like me who are running campaigns. You want as many people as possible. So last year, we were kind of figuring things out, kind of getting our act together. We didn't have that up until about 17 days before we were going to launch. Ideally, it's a month. And by the time we launched, I thought we did pretty good, all things considered. We had 270 people when we pressed the big red button to launch the campaign. So that was great because a lot of the people backed us and so on. Cool. All right, this time around, we have our act together, and we made the follow page go up 30 days in advance, which is like best practice. And back another reason I like them is you can put a bit more detail. So it's actually like a mini campaign page. It has a lot more detail. It has like the art of Jarrell. You can actually check out some stuff. So we have that. And I was trying to think of how to drive followers and get more. And we got more pretty quickly. More quicker than we did last time because we've had this year to build expectations. But I really wanted to hit that 270 as soon as possible. I wanted to go past that because, of course, I want more followers than last time. And we got to a place where we were around 220 or something. And my layout and design guy, Nathan, Nathaniel Webb, great fella, he said to me, he's like, Oliver, you ever think about getting our logo is pretty cool. You ever think about getting like a tattoo? And I was like, shit. I've never had a tattoo before. I've never had an idea that I liked enough. I was one of those guys. I always got close. I had ideas, but never quite. And then I thought, this is a really good design, and it symbolizes something really cool that I've put a lot of my heart and soul into. It really means something to me. But ever the publisher, I was like, I got to use this to get people excited about the magazine. So I was like, okay, everybody, if we hit before that week, this is now past. I said, if we hit before this week is over, which I'll say midnight Saturday, I'll be nice, not Friday night, midnight Saturday. If we hit 270 followers, then I will add a stretch goal or like an unlockable kind of thing, where if we get this many Facebook shares of the campaign, or we get so many backers, whatever, some condition, I will get the tattoo of the logo. Nice. Now, we got close. People, as I expected, liked that idea, and they were sharing it, like make Oliver get a tattoo in 2024, But it was close. We got 250 something, 255, and so I thought, okay, well, I can kind of live with that. Maybe I'll get a tattoo next time. I'll bring it back, I'm sure. But in the meanwhile, I don't want to disappoint people. Like it's like, okay, we got close. That was very exciting, but wow, what can I do? Oh, wait a minute. And I thought, okay, the sticker book thing is already me. Like Oliver, age 10, is kind of driving this thing a little bit. I was like, what about temporary tattoos? And so I've looked into it. And as a consolation prize and a thank you to the people who, shared and were trying to get us to that 270 in that first week, which, by the way, we've blown past it now, so I'm very happy. There will be a free New Edge Sword Sorcery temporary tattoo logo with every physical backer's order.
That's amazing. I love that.
Oh, I'm sure
it's
I've
a
got
total
some
goof,
space still.
and yeah, it's a goof and it's fun and I love it, and I look forward to people putting up silly pictures of them with a tattoo on their biceps or their foreheads. I don't know, whatever. Give yourself a third eye.
It's gonna be so many butt cheeks, man.
Oh, so
yeah, shit.
Mostly
How
from
did
the
I
share,
not think of that?
the share feed on fucking Twitter is just gonna be butt cheeks with your logo.
Oh, that'd be great.
Oh my god.
And I'm guaranteeing
or,
half of them
you know
will be
what,
John Doe, who's just not here at the moment. Right.
Yeah, like I'm really getting familiar with this one set of arse cheeks. Wow, and actually that kind of reminds me, if you guys were fans of the American comedy Community, Dan Harmon's thing,
Yeah.
if you ever watched that.
Yeah,
But their social media was very fun. It was fun to follow the actors, and because they knew a lot of people were kind of ogling Alison Brie for a laugh, what they did is they got one of the guys to have his ass cheeks photographed, and then they did which cleavage is it on their social media just to mess with people. They'd be like, "Oh, is that her breast?" Like, nope, messed up. It's the lead guy's ass. I hope you enjoy.
Yeah.
And so I'm just imagining that with the tattoo. Anyway.
Oh, it'd be perfect.
But anyway. So, but this is what I mean, right? This is the kind of the kind of fun I'm trying to have with this.
Yeah.
Even when there's like a quote unquote failure, we only got 255 by the end of the week. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, how is this an opportunity to do something fun that I haven't seen other people do? And so that's just the philosophy I'm trying to bring to everything in the magazine. And we're always trying to improve it. Like I said, from issue 0 to issue 1 and 2, I thought, well, hang on. We should be crediting the artists on the title page of the story as well as the authors. And we did that. And I saw feedback. People really appreciated it. So that was cool. So, I pay attention to like what readers are saying, what they're into, what they liked, whether it's something as simple as I like the story by this person or I, like this tweak of the format. And so, and if I can do something fun like the sticker page or the tattoos, whether it's a success or a failure, it gives me an opportunity to try and do something fun. That's our ethos for the whole thing. The whole thing. So I hope that'll carry through nice and get people excited enough to back us and let us keep going. That's the magazine.
I do have a question for you.
Yep.
It relates to something we actually talked about last time you were on here.
Oh, okay. Please.
Last time we were talking to you, we were talking about all the artists and the artwork, and trust me, now that I've had the books, holy shit, those people absolutely killed it. Last time you were on here, we were talking about next time maybe doing an art book.
I know. I actually haven't. As you can tell from that slide, it's not happening. Sorry, folks. Yeah. I have thought about it hard. I really have. And honestly, when I say it's not happening, I just mean it's not happening in this crowdfund.
Yeah.
If we get to a place where I have the resources, it really just comes down to that. It just comes down to resources, not lack of desire. I mean, I would love it. Obviously, if I care enough about the art, right? I want an art book. I would love to do a digital and physical art book. I really would.
Yeah.
But it comes down to the fact that quite barely, you need to pay the artists again. You can't just use the art for free. That's because that's not what they sold you, right? They sold you their labor for the one use in the magazine and promotional shit. So I just simply haven't had the budget for it yet. However, I do look forward to when we can do that. I do want to do that. And this kind of actually is a nice segue into maybe the last thing I can chat about with you guys that's relevant. I mean, I can chat about, you want to talk about the latest season of some show, I'm right there with you. So if this crowdfund succeeds, this is another like off the books stretch goal, but this is one I can tell you about. If this crowdfund succeeds, and the better it succeeds, the better this other thing will go. I won't just be doing the magazine anymore. I'll be publishing books. I want to expand the magazine into a publishing house. I mean, house sounds very dramatic, but that's what you call it, publishing house, even if it's just, me and some friends. So what does that mean exactly? Well, I can tell you guys a little bit about what we have planned without getting lost in the details too much. What I hope is if this succeeds, then in June, these are the plans. We'll see what the reality is, but the plans are in June we will be crowdfunding an anthology. featuring some authors from the magazine, some authors from outside the magazine, and it will be blending sword and sorcery with another very successful genre. I don't want to give away which one it is just yet. So the other authors will be like from that genre, will be kind of taking people in and swirling them around. So I'm very excited about that. It'll be our very first book. And then in the fall of this year, I'm going to be doing something that's like a little retro, but a little like, I think if you don't know the thing I'm referring to, I always want to make sure you still enjoy it. So don't worry if you don't know what I'm referring to when I say there used to be something published. Other companies did this later, but there was a company called Ace that did all kinds of various paperbacks, and they actually published a line of Conan books in the 60s that made the character famous again. That you can thank them for the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie and stuff that came after because of those books. Yeah, Ace did a series called Ace Doubles. And so what a double would be is you would get like a paperback book, and on one side you would see the cover and the name, so-and-so book by such and such author with some cool art. And then you would take the book and turn it upside down, right, and flip it around. And on the back end would not be back cover blurb for the novel. It would be another novel. It would be another cover, another artist and author. And so you got two books in one, hence Ace Double, right? And it was usually a fun way to have like a big name on one side and like a lesser known name on the other side. And so you buy it for the big name and you get to check out the other guy, kind of thing. Or a fun way of mixing genres sometimes. The pairings were all very different. But it was a really fun way and easy to carry, two books in one, right? So I'm thinking I want to do my own, Ace Double. And what we're going to do is we're going to pair sword and sorcery novellas. Each one will be written by an author from the magazine with one of their characters from the magazine. But in classic sword and sorcery style, if you've read the other stuff, great. If you haven't, don't worry about it. They'll be written as essentially character introductions. But longer form stories that I think the novella is a very good length for sword and sorcery because it was born out of those pulp magazines of the 30s, which were mostly short stories, or novelette length, which is about 12,000 words. And sometimes novella length, actually, they'd be in installments across many issues, right? Like the classic The People of the Black Circle by Robert E. Howard, the Conan story. That was 4 installments, right? And that's up to about novella length. It's like 30-odd thousand words. So I think it works well because we come in this tradition of shorter serialized storytelling, so the novella works for me, and so we'll have these two novellas, as one book. And, I'm going to try and make it pretty. It's going to be a mass market paperback, classic size, not the trade, the bigger floppy guys that we tend to see in stores now. And it'll be easy to put literally in your pocket. And I want to really pretty it up as much as we can. I know at base level, I really want to put what are called spray edges. So if you've ever been like rooting through a secondhand bookstore, because this tends to be a thing more of older books, because it's like it makes it cost a little more, so publishers don't like to do it anymore. The edges of the pages will be sprayed. Painted a fun color. You often see a whole line of books. These are the blue ones or the gray ones or whatever, right? Green ones. So I don't know what's going to be our color, but it will be, some fun spray edges. And I already know one of the stretch goals is going to be like a 2-page full color art spread we'll put in the middle as a way of dividing the two books inside. And it'll keep you from accidentally flicking over from the ending to the other ending. It's upside down still. I'm not going to tell I'm getting into too much detail, but I'm really looking forward to doing that. And then the last thing I'll mention is if all this goes well, I want to get to a place where those two novellas will be like, in a way, the very first, the launch pad into 2025 and us doing novella series. I really like the idea of solo novella series where each year you'll get a new installment of a new adventure with this character in this world, and you can read it on its own. That's always going to be very important to me. But, maybe you get it and go, I really like this. Oh, it's number 4. Okay, I'll go back and get those other ones, I'm you can tell I'm very passionate about growing the magazine out into a book publisher. And it's just so fun to be able to share this news with you guys who've been with me, from basically the beginning of this whole venture with the Blood, Sweat, and Tears freebie issue 0. And where's it going to keep going? I don't know. Maybe we'll be talking in 10 years and I'll be telling you about the animated film or whatever.
We can hope.
Oh, heck
all I know is I'm going to need more fucking shelf space by the sounds of it. I'm going to need more bookshelves.
Well, I'm getting 2 more issues of this, and then I've got an anthology I'm apparently getting, and then there's some novellas. Gosh.
It'll be good.
I'm sorry. I will say this, though.
Sorry, not sorry.
I will say this though, because I appreciate that maybe that sounds overwhelming. Oh, he's going to start producing all this stuff. He's going to be asking me to get all this stuff. Oh, Jesus. But like, I I am a reader and a customer, as it were, too, right? Like I'm also a reader, a fan, whatever. I'm not just a guy who makes things. Of course, I'd be weird. I don't know what I'd make if I didn't also consume all this fun stuff. And my point of mentioning that is that I also it's kind of like with the newsletter, right? Like remember I said earlier, our newsletter, I send it out very rarely, and I like to send it out just when there's some actual news, as opposed to just saying, "Oh, hello, my cat farted," every week.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you like that, that's cool, but that's not what obviously my preference. And the reason I mention that in the context of us publishing books, what's your point, Oliver? Is I like to only put something out, whether it's a newsletter or a magazine issue or a book, if I think I've put my best into it and it's really worth your time. You do not want to crank stuff out. If I wanted to get rich, right, by just cranking stuff out, I would be making, I don't know, batteries. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is something you do because you're really passionate about it. And does publishing sometimes have things that are kind of cranked out and whatever? Sure. But me, I would do something else if that's how I felt about things. So if it sounds a bit like, oh Jesus, Oliver's going to be asking me to get all these things, well, obviously, first of all, you don't have to get them. I will not come by your house and hurt you.
I mean, I think that's the thing you were just discussing then, when you were talking about the novellas, that you might not get the first one or two. You might pick one up later and then go back. We're not.
Yeah.
I'm a horrible person with bad impulse control. So I'm probably going to buy it all.
Yeah.
But
from my as a businessman's point of view, you're not horrible at all. But
like that style of book doesn't require you to get every single issue now.
Yeah.
You can pick it up later and then get in on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and part of that comes from the fact that I grew up loving. I mean, I still do, but I grew up loving comic books. And I remember being a little frustrated with, I was coming up in the 90s, and that was when Marvel Comics really, really went wild with the massive multi-title crossovers in X-Men. And you have little guides on the inside cover, like, well, if you want to know what the hell's happening in this one, you better go get Cable, blah blah blah. You better get X-Force, blah blah blah. And it's just like I'm like, I have an allowance. I'm 12.
I can't do this.
I cannot get 90 comics every month to know why Wolverine's mad at this guy. And I mean, which also created the phenomenon where you got used to piecing stories together, right? You're like, well, I got part 7, 9, and 2. But anyway, that's a whole other story. So my point is, I remember that feeling, and I try and remember those kinds of frustrations when I'm making my stuff. So yeah, exactly. Like, I hope you get them all. I will reward you essentially with fun Easter eggs and stuff if you get them all. If you get like part 3 later and then go okay and go back, like that works too. But whatever parts you get, whatever you're getting from me, whether it's those novellas I hope to do eventually, whether it's the Bracken double as I'm calling it, I won't call it that when we publish it, but the Brackenbury double, or the anthology, or to rewind us all back to the present here, issues 3 and 4 of New Edge Sword Sorcery. If you get it, you'll know you're getting something that I really feel is worth your time. And because it's worth my time and blood, sweat, and tears to produce it, right? I wouldn't put like I said, I wouldn't do it if I just wanted to crank out crap. So
I'd say if you put out something of at least equal value to issue 1 and 2, it'd have been like, goals met. But everything you've told us today is like, no, you've learned so many things from the first go round. You put it into the second one that I don't think it'd be unfair for me to say we're probably expecting something better.
Yeah. We can hope. But
well,
it's one of those things like.
No, I know. This is the fun dance, right? Where I'm like, I want to get people excited, but I don't want to set expectations too high. Oh no, I want to find that sweet spot.
I mean, I'm not saying like.
I know. I'm teasing myself. Like,
you don't want to No Man's Sky
honestly,
yourself.
You've
learned
so much and done so many things. It's from what you talked about to us over this chat that I can't imagine it being any less than better than the last one.
Yeah.
And I think it will be. No, I appreciate that. But as you just said about the No Man's Sky thing, if I come on here sometime and I'm like, all right, get this. It's going to be a massive multiplayer online sword and sorcery game that you basically live in. And you buy crypto to... If I
That's when we panic.
That's when I hit the stop button and we stop the interview.
That's when,
that's when you just hit the button and. Oh, well, anyway, yeah, we've been talking for almost an hour and a half, so I feel like I should close my big fat mouth. But thank you again so much for having me back. And as I say, it's fun sort of having this kind of like check in with you guys, like okay, where we're at now, kind of thing. It's nice.
We're the OG interview crew.
Yeah.
Some random Australians who somehow got the invite.
Hey, it all works out, right?
I
guess. Oh, sorry. I guess what I should probably say at the end here, just to reiterate for folk, if you're hearing this and going, well, where do I go? Well, I hope you guys will put the link in the show notes.
Of course,
I hope, but they will. They're good at this. But if you're hearing me and you can't be bothered to look at show notes, who does that? I don't know. Then you can, of course, find the magazine at newedgeswordandsorcery.com. I've no doubt during the crowdfund we will have a big button on there saying, go to the crowdfund. But also, you can go to backerkit.com and search for New Edge Sword and Sorcery. I promise we are the only New Edge Sword and Sorcery magazine on BackerKit. So it's pretty easy to find us.
If you're not, we have to hunt the other ones down. There can be only one.
Highlander.
I bloody would. I hope. Yeah, I've enticed you all to check it out. Thanks for listening. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We're definitely.
Is there anything else you guys want to ask me about before we go?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. As usual, I've got I had a list of things to ask you, and it's like, oh, he's just covered everything.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, it's just let Oliver's passion go, and he'll answer your questions in due time.
Yeah. Easiest interview ever. We haven't asked questions half the time.
I'm sorry.
But oh, good. But no, we look forward to this one again. To be honest, I think all three of us will end up backing this one again.
Yeah. Like I said, I want to do better than 14th backer this time.
Yeah.
I will be higher.
We're gonna be fighting for that first place. Like, we want that prize.
I want the mystery gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I forget what the time zones. What is it, like 11 o'clock in the evening for you? I'm going to hit launch
right now. It's 12:41.
Yeah.
Now, but like I'll be launching at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I think.
Oh, that would be 11 o'clock here.
Yeah.
Okay. So not too bad. It's not like you have to be up at like 4 a.m.
And chances are we'll be up that late anyway.
Yeah, we're real night owls.
Yeah.
I miss being a night owl. This new puppy that's having me up at 5:30 every morning. She's very good at learning tricks, but will not learn to sleep in.
Oh no, they never do. Fuzzy alarm clocks, aren't they great?
My one does gymnastics. I have a cat, and when I get up for work, I feed him. But on the weekend, I of course sleep in. He doesn't like that. He goes into our kitchen, runs all the way down the hall, does the slight left to get into the hall with my room on it, and then catapults off of the door.
Yeah.
Nice.
Not like me sleeping in on the weekends.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what they say, right? Like, kids and dogs, they don't understand hangovers. They do not know what hangovers are, so you'll get woken up anyway. Yeah, anyway, like I said, I think I said everything I could possibly say about it. So again, thank you so much for having me back on.
Thank you for coming back, and by all means, if you ever want to come back, drop us a bell. You're an absolute delight to have.
Yeah. Oh, cheers. Well, it's fun to chat with you guys too.
All right, then. I think we'll round that out for this one. Y'all have a good one.
Bye.